everybody, welcome to another episode of She Hates Whiskey. My name is David and I love whiskey.
My name's Meredith and I hate whiskey, but I love him.
Yeah, so She Hates Whiskey is the journey of two people exploring, learning to like whiskey, but most importantly, just trying to have fun.
Yep.
So this week we're headed up north to Canada.
We're headed up to the Great White North, eh?
Yeah, and you can tell that because I'm prepared for the cold.
David's been wearing his toque.
Yeah, and that will be all of the Canadian accent that we will be doing tonight.
You are a hoser.
So far. So we've been kind of exploring different types of whiskey. We've looked at Irish, we've looked at Scotch, we've looked at American bourbons.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be doing some Canadian whiskey. Yeah, so we have two Canadian blends in the traditional Canadian style as we Americans think of. And then when we get to the third, we'll talk about something a little bit different.
It's all grown up.
But as you can see, we got the really, really expensive Canadian whiskeys. The Canadian Club Premium Extra Aged. I don't know what the non-extra aged tastes like.
Normal aged.
But so we're going to see how much maple they put into these.
Yeah, I do love maple.
Yeah, Meredith is hoping that there's a lot of...
I'm hoping it just tastes like maple syrup.
Maple syrup. Something tells me that isn't the case, though. I sometimes hear people say that there is like a maple...
You should have done one of just maple syrup.
Maybe I should have done that, like a blind taste
It would have
test.
looked the same.
So we're going to start off with Canadian Clubs. Why don't you give that a good old smellosphere and see if...
I'm going to do the smellosphere.
Yeah, sometimes I feel bad about introducing people to Canadian whiskey with something like Canadian Club. But, okay, so pretty
big.
mild.
Oh, I thought that was kind of a big...
What are you talking about? Like the peat smellosphere is like insane. The high alcohol.
Yeah, this
so
is
these two are both 40 proof, so low blend. So Canadian style blended whiskey.
It doesn't smell like maple syrup.
Oh well.
Aww.
Is a little bit different from the way other countries tend to do it. So other countries tend to have a style of whiskey that they do. They mix up the mash bill in a certain way and then kind of move forward. Canadian whiskey is a little bit different. They actually create distinct flavor profiles in different barrels and then they combine them to recreate the type of whiskey that they want at the end of it. I don't remember the exact terms, but it's something like they have like a base whiskey and then they have a whiskey they specifically make to give it the flavors that they want and then they blend them. So what do you think? I actually never had Canadian Club, or at least I haven't had it in a while.
It's okay.
So it's pretty sweet on the nose.
Yeah, it's sweet. It's obviously
Not super flavorful.
A lower
ABV
40. Because it doesn't have that.
It doesn't burn, but in terms of the flavor, what do you think?
It's okay. I wouldn't pick it.
Very sweet. I'm getting a lot of caramel and vanillas from that.
Oh, let me see. Try again.
Again, don't think of it as actual caramel, but rather as a...
Oh, it's sweeter on the drive-by sniff.
Sweeter on the drive-by. Yeah, but that's not strikingly different from the classic American styles of like a kind of a bourbon, rye bourbon as opposed to a wheated bourbon. Like a little bit of spicy note to it.
I don't get a lot of the sweet.
Okay.
I get it on the nose. I get it on the nose.
I mean, to me, it's definitely pretty sweet.
No.
Easy to drink. Not much going on though.
No, it's not super interesting for sure. Just use it to keep warm, eh?
I might actually get like a mapliness to that.
Really?
Like a saccharine sweet.
Oh.
Like the sweet in terms of the style of sweetness being that like
on
kind of
taste?
clingy. Yeah, that like clingy. You know the difference between consuming something that's like fruity sweet versus something that's sugary sweet. So interesting. Okay. Not that bad. I'd probably be fine in like a cocktail or something.
Well, it's very. I mean, keeps you warm.
Yep.
Gotta be warm.
Easy to drink.
A Great White North.
All right. That's enough of that.
I really love my terrible Canadian accent.
No, it's fine. It's a fine accent. I just.
Oh, thank you, eh? You're not. Oh, I ran into it like a hoser. Okay. Bob and Doug McKenzie?
So now we're doing Crown Royal.
Ugh.
Crown Royale.
Oh.
So not up your alley, apparently, on the nose at least. classic
Is this higher
Crown and
ABV?
Coke. No, 40.
It smells higher.
So it hides, doesn't hide the booze as well.
No, it doesn't.
And you find it strikingly different.
Chemical.
Like your reaction to this
Yeah.
is strikingly different from the Canadian Club.
Yeah, that was kind of smelled good, kind of sweet.
Yeah.
This one smells chemically.
Chemically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe a little like fruity.
Fruity
Yeah,
as opposed to
like a
sugary
like a
sweet.
pineapple or something.
Oh, okay. I don't drink much Crown, so.
A little pineapple.
Pineapple-y, okay.
I think.
Maybe.
Right? I think it's actually, I like this smell better, but I might like that taste better. I think it's a little more interesting, taste-wise.
I don't know if I get pineapple.
Mm.
Maybe more apple.
Yeah, well, there's
Like red
definitely
apple.
like
Like a red delicious apple.
an acidic fruit in there.
Like it's not tart.
Yeah, but it reminds me of an acidic fruit. Is that a tasting note? Acidic fruit
Sure.
that people use?
Sure.
Oh, let's see.
Now I'm kind of curious to go back. Yeah, so on the nose,
Oh, this has a smaller smell.
this is a little more oaky to me. And kind of like a darker sweetness, like that saccharine sweetness I was talking about. This is,
Oh yeah,
A
now
little more
now
tart.
they smell really different.
actually I just got a little like nuttiness on this one.
Really? This one smells good.
Smells good, but you don't like the taste as
It
much
does
as
smell
the
a little
Crown.
mapley. Oh, pretty exciting, eh?
Interesting. So yeah, why don't you try to go back and forth a little bit, maybe see if you get anything different while I talk
I
about.
definitely don't like the smell.
All right. Well, you go back and forth
Okay.
between these. I'm going to tell people briefly about this.
Well,
So,
who got it for you?
so this is Glen Breton rare 10-year-old single malt whiskey from Nova Scotia
Nova Scotia.
or New Scotland.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Cool.
And so this is from Glenora Distillery. And I kind of wanted to bring it in because it is not characteristic of a Canadian style of blended whiskey, but rather characteristic of people trying to kind of, affectionately hearken to their Scotch origins. And so it's single malt, which means that it's all 100% malted barley whiskey.
Smells so mapley, no?
And it's actually very similar to kind of like a Highland Scotch if you've ever had it, and not reminiscent of the style. And I wanted to use that to point out that when we think of Canadian whiskey, we might think of it as a certain thing, but it has a lot of variation when you get down to the people who are doing the crafts style of things. And this is similar in other countries. So we think of Scotch as a certain thing, but people can do different types of things in Scotland. And so sometimes the idea of Scotch is it's a single thing, or Irish whiskey is a single thing, but it can be kind of really different. So I just thought that was an interesting way to kind of bring in the difference between nation of origin versus actual style.
This one really smells like maple now, and
So
it tastes
really
pretty good
getting
too.
and it tastes pretty good too.
Yeah.
Okay, so you kind of like it, especially compared to.
I thought I liked that taste, but
Yeah. No.
No.
Okay.
I like.
Interesting.
I'd
So-
rather be in the Canadian club.
This is also Canadian, but you'll see how distinct it is, and it really shares almost no relation
Oh
to
wow!
the things that you
Oh,
also
that
have.
smells good.
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
So it's
yeah.
malty
Yeah.
to the extreme.
Wow, that smells really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
A little bit dirty.
A little bit dirty. Well, just to point out, because I didn't finish explaining
sorry.
the origin of where I got this, this is not super easy to come by as part of the problem with Canadian whiskey here in the United States, which is they tend to keep their cool craft whiskey to themselves, and we get the big blend stuff, just like if you're in Canada, in terms of American whiskey, you're going to get the big brands, the Jack Daniels, the Jim Beams, things that are, bigger and have the
Ugh.
oh yes,
Oh.
have the bigger reach, whereas they probably don't get some of the smaller, more niche branded stuff, which is the case of this. And I was very fortunate to get this as a favor from your uncle,
Yeah, who lives in Nova Scotia.
who came down to celebrate our wedding, and I was like, he lives in Nova Scotia, get some Glen Breton, and he did.
He did. Yeah.
So what did you think?
I
So
like the
nice
smell.
on the nose because
smell,
it's sweet.
I would take it as a scented candle,
Hmm.
like a that whiskey scented candle, but I don't want to drink it. I wouldn't want to eat that candle.
So it's only 43%.
But it's got a lot going on.
It's a lot more
It's
complex.
A lot more.
So this was the first non-Scotch that I ever had that I
Yeah.
thought, oh, if someone told me that was Scotch,
Mhm.
I would think, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then
And that's what
they
they're
would have said it was Canadian.
trying to
And that's
do,
what they're
right?
trying to go. They
Yeah.
actually got sued by the Scottish Whiskey Association or whatever it's called.
Really?
Because they're very protective of any branding that might confuse consumers. And because it's Glen Breton and Glen is a word
Oh,
that people associate with
yeah.
Scotland. But it helps that they have a giant maple leaf on the bottle.
Even though it doesn't taste like maple.
And
like
it
this one
says
does.
Canadian, even in both American English, Canadian English and Canadian
yeah,
French.
Yeah.
So there's no really mistaking it, but I think it's quite good. It's quite interesting to get that experience from something that isn't from Scotland.
It is very interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I love the smell. I just don't like the taste.
All right. So now
I think it smells great.
you've had a good sense of American whiskey,
Yeah.
Canadian whiskey,
Yeah.
Irish whiskey,
Yeah.
Scotch whiskey.
Wow. I've come a long way.
What do you
Not
think?
Such a hoser.
What do you think?
I still like Irish whiskey the best.
Irish whiskey the best.
Yeah.
Is this now your number 2 though?
This maple one might be.
Maple, not actually maple.
I don't like Canadian whiskey. I like maple flavored things.
All right, well, we'll have to. I actually once had Crown Royal maple, and it tasted just like maple syrup.
See that I
So,
could get into.
well, maybe we'll check it out.
Okay.
So, what do you guys think about Canadian whiskey? Do you like it? Are you big fans? Do you like to have a Crown and Coke?
Do you
Please
like
let
wearing
us know.
a toque?
If you're new to whiskey and maybe Canadian whiskey was your kind of entry level brand,
Yeah.
by all means, let us know.
Yeah.
If you've enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe. Of course, follow us on Instagram. If you have friends who are getting into whiskey, maybe
Send
you
them
share
our
it
way.
with us. And we'll
Share
hopefully
your friends with us.
share them with us. They can join the party. And we'll continue drinking whiskey. Most importantly, enjoy your whiskey
Woo!
or don't.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
You hoes